as Diwali approaches, the big debate over green crackers is back in news. Now, the Supreme Court on Friday reserved its verdict on whether the absolute ban on firecrackers in the Delhi-NCR should be relaxed during Diwali to allow the use of green crackers or not. Now, a bench led by Chief Justice B.R. Gavai and Justice K.V. Chandran reserved its order after the centre proposed firecrackers be allowed under a tightly regulated framework permitting only green crackers approved by the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute or NEERI. So, if Supreme Court's order comes in favour, it will be that after a gap of 5 years that green crackers now will be allowed in Delhi-NCR during Diwali, Gurupurab and Christmas. Experts, however, argue that these green crackers are also harmful. According to CSIR and the National Environmental Engineering Research Institute, green crackers are made by reformulating conventional fireworks with a focus on reducing pollution. So first, let's understand what exactly are green crackers and what is their impact on the air quality. So green crackers are made with a reduction in the size of the shell, eliminating the ash usage, less usage of raw materials in compositions and the use of additives to suppress dust to further reduce emissions. But when we talk about numbers, viewers, in comparison, green crackers do reduce particulate matter by 20 to 30% and gaseous emissions by in fact 10%. So now the union government is pitching for green crackers, while the Supreme Court has already indicated that it could permit the use of such crackers on a trial basis during Diwali. Now, use of firecrackers are banned in the national capital, remember, since 2020. In fact, all kinds of firecrackers, including green crackers, banned during Diwali since 2020. Now, the permanent round-the-year ban on crackers in Delhi since 2024 is also in effect. So the ban on manufacturing, storage, sale and the use of all types of firecrackers has been in effect until January 1, 2025. Now 2024 and 2025 Supreme Court directives expanded restrictions, including ban on online sales as well. All right, joining me on the broadcast is Balendu Shekhar, environmental advocate. Thank you, Mr. Shekhar, for joining us on News9. Now, the big debate here is Green Diwali even possible? So, on that front, I want to ask you, we will have the verdict from Supreme Court, but if you could just go ahead and explain to our viewers, what are green crackers? And in terms of their impact on air quality, what are we looking at?
See, first and foremost, thanks for calling me here. And about green cracker, I must say that earlier, probably in 2016 or 17, at the eve of Diwali, there was a massive increase in the pollution level, more than 30 or 40 times AQI level increase from the normal standard, and which compelled all the courts, including Honorable Supreme Court as well as NGT, to intervene into the matter and look into the matter. And in Supreme Court, there was a case, Arjun Gopal versus Union of India, and in that matter, all these issues were very elaborately dealt in that matter. And in Supreme Court, all the expert agencies and all concerned ministries were called and were asked to furnish the actual data, that what is the status and why all these pollution levels have increased drastically on the eve of Diwali. And there it was ascertained, and it's a fact as well, that because of the use of crackers at that relevant point of time, there was a massive increase in the pollution. And then the concept of green crackers came.
All right.
And in green cracker, as you rightly said, that by using the green crackers, it doesn't remove the entire pollution level, but certainly it reduces at least 25 to 30% of the emission which any firecrackers emits. So by using the green crackers, we can only minimize or we can only reduce certain level of the pollution. And that is why green crackers at that point of time was very widely dealt and widely discussed. And as we all see, we all are aware that the AQI level in Delhi is really very pathetic. And that's why at that point of time, Supreme Court completely banned the green crackers. And in pursuant to that order, even in Delhi Pollution Control Committee, who is the regulating authority in Delhi, also passed their direction under Section 5 of EP Act, asking complete ban of all sorts of crackers, including green crackers. But at the same time, green crackers were allowed to be used elsewhere. But in Delhi, there was Delhi and NCR, there was a complete ban of all type of cracker, and that's why it's very relevant because, as rightly said, that today while the matter was being heard before the Honorable Supreme Court, at this stage, Honorable Supreme Court has given some indication that seeing the AQI index and seeing the air quality, air quality, as well as the need for us to use the firecracker, because firecrackers is also very much associated, and we all are very much linked with this issue, because firecrackers somewhere it also connects our culture. So that's why there will be a complete ban of firecrackers, then directly it also affects our culture or our tradition for celebrating our Diwali. So seeing in totality and seeing all the aspects into account, at this stage, we are quite hopeful that Supreme Court will certainly give some window, and this is what even our Solicitor General also indicated to the Honorable Court, that this Diwali must be allowed to use some amount of crackers at the eve of at least Diwali, and as well as all other 2-3 functions or 2-3 Eve like New Delhi, Happy New Year's Eve, or 2-3 festivals which are about to come. So on these eve, probably we may be allowed to use some amount of green crackers.
All right, Mr. Shekhar, but as you mentioned that these green crackers, they do not eliminate emissions, they just reduce them to some extent. So in a city like Delhi, which has, been choked in smog even before, can any form of firecrackers be justified then during Diwali, A? And also, what are the conditions that this time we are allowing, use of some crackers, or we could see the Supreme Court, in fact, allowing that?
See, first and foremost, we must keep one thing in mind, that the AQI level in Delhi is being monitored very closely.
Okay.
So if the need would arise, I am sure, and rather we all are sure, that all these regulating agencies would certainly come in play and will take the necessary steps. But at this stage, when we can accommodate or we can go to that far while using green crackers, seeing the AQI level at this juncture, or the likelihood of the AQI of that particular day. So seeing all these things, I think, of course, Honorable Court will certainly give some guidelines or some framework within which green crackers may be used. But at this stage, I am very hopeful that seeing the AQI level and all other aspects into account, we may be permitted to use some amount of green crackers. But as you rightly said, that green crackers will not completely remove the emission level, or it will completely remove all sorts of all type of pollution. We are not saying so, or nor any green crackers can claim that. But seeing the reality on the ground, we may be allowed to use this crackers, at least on this eve of Diwali, seeing the indication given by the Honorable Supreme Court yesterday.
All right, Mr. Shekhar, as you say that the AQI right now is in a stable condition, we could have green crackers getting a green light from the top court. But then there's also this problem with the QR codes are being cloned and no verification labs in NCR. Then how do we ensure that what's being sold is actually green? You have a handful of manufacturers of these crackers, but everything, it seems like, getting sold in the market has a label of being green. So how do we ensure that what's actually being sold is a green cracker?
See, for that matter, I must make you aware, as well as to your viewers as well, that while the matter was being heard in Supreme Court, and there also the same issue arose, that in spite the order of using green cracker, still market is being flooded with the normal type of crackers. So for that matter, there is a specific direction that no such crackers can be allowed. And for that matter, there were at that point of time various FIRs were lodged against all those people who were trying to use these kind of crackers, or who were trying to manufacture that kind of crackers. So all these regulatory authorities were completely asked to take necessary steps. And I think this time as well, if that things come in the knowledge of all these regulating authorities, they will certainly take care and will do the necessary step.
All right, Mr. Shekhar, but I want to raise an interesting point here, because you were talking about that how crackers also form a part of our traditions, and they bring in the joy that we associate with Diwali. So, are we ready as a society to reimagine traditions in the face of climate urgency? Not just, Diwali, but also in other festivals we've seen. So, are we ready as a society to then reimagine traditions in the face of the climate disasters we are facing right now?
See, in my view, it's a very subjective thing, and it all depends individual to individual, and no authority, no government agency, or no any such body can impose certain thing which directly, indirectly affect my freedom, how to celebrate my festival, how to use my firecrackers if that comes within the ambit of the permissible norms. I think in such issues, authorities or government authorities must restrain themselves because it's a highly subjective thing, and directly, indirectly, it also connect with our culture.
All right.
But certainly,
Yes, sir, go ahead.
pollution is a very crucial aspect, and we cannot ignore that aspect. So, if there is genuine crisis, and if pollution level is very grim or very pathetic, then in that eventuality, we all expect that regulating agency or regulating authority must take necessary steps. But if everything is normal, then I think such issue must be left to the people or to the person whosoever want to enjoy his or her festival in his own way.
All right, so there is that debate going on as well. But in terms of green crackers, let's say they get a go-ahead by the top court. What is the impact in terms of numbers we're looking at? You know, the impact on public health when it comes to air pollution. What could we expect?
Of course, if the green crackers would be allowed to be used on the eve of Diwali, it will certainly deplete some amount of AQI level. Certainly, no one can claim that the pollution would not emit. But at the same time, seeing the conflict between the pollution aspect or AQI aspect as well as the culture, and if such conflict arises, then in that eventuality, pollution has to be given priority. But if pollution aspect can be monitored or can be controlled even by using the green crackers, I think green crackers must go on the ground.
All right, and I also want to ask you, let's say if you could have a comparison with the impact of these crackers with the conventional crackers that we use, you know, how less of pollution are we looking at then?
See, certainly conventional crackers certainly emits very huge amount of pollution. So we cannot say that there is any comparison between green crackers and conventional crackers because it's established fact, and scientifically that has already been proved that green crackers emit 30% less pollution level. So, of course, if there is a conflict between green crackers and conventional crackers, then conventional crackers has to go. And more so, even Supreme Court has already restricted the manufacturing of those kind of crackers.
All right. Also, you know, there is this debate where we say that it's a cocktail of factors that contributes to Delhi getting choked up. You know, you have winters approaching, the air becomes dense. You also have stubble burning cases in the neighboring states that contribute to the air pollution in Delhi. So, in terms of all of these factors, if you could explain to us the impact of crackers, you know, a proportion of these factors.
See, if you yourself is saying that there are multiple factors which is causing pollution in Delhi, then my question would be that why then you are targeting only green crackers? Why not other factors? And why don't you do the necessary thing for containing those other factors? And why only green crackers? And that's why, as I said, it's a highly subjective thing. And the regulatory authority has to see all the aspects and has to examine all these aspects. And accordingly, they should prioritize the things and may pass a necessary direction in order to the situation. But as I said, that merely by banning green crackers, if you remove all those pollution aspects, then of course green cracker can be sidelined. But that is not the case. Even if you ban green crackers, still pollution level in Delhi goes up. So only green crackers is causing pollution. That is also not the factor. So if that is not so, then why you are only restricting green crackers? And that too on the eve of Diwali.
Exactly. So those are the questions that will be asked. I'm also being joined by Joseph Hoover, environmentalist. Thank you, Mr. Hoover, for joining us on News 9. So we are looking at this debate about green crackers coming back in news as the top court will deliver its verdict on Monday. Your views on green crackers being used in Diwali and its impact on air pollution?
Yeah, the way I would look at it is, instead of telling the government to get this done, get these restrictions on, it's the people who themselves should take the initiative. because we're already past that threshold of pollution control. We're all struggling, and especially Delhi is in the worst scenario case. So it's the people who should take the responsibility and say, okay, we will ensure that we go only with green cracker. Now, blaming the government, not doing the other things, they should be taking action against other aspects also is fair enough. Government should do all that as well. But when it comes to Diwali, when you want to celebrate, we ourselves as people could take the initiative and say, okay, we are for green and better pollution levels in the city. We want to breathe fresh air, so we do not want to burst these crackers as we were doing in the past. So we will buy green crackers and just stick to what we need to do in our own interest. So I think it's us who should take the initiative. Yes, we have been blaming the government, for everything. Yes, government has to cop the blame. But I think we need to take the initiative to go green.
All right, Mr. Uva, thank you for joining us here on News 9. And thank you, Mr. Shekhar, as well.